We began our new series, Me versus Me, and we're talking about overthinking today, something that keeps so many women stuck in their head. And we're naming the feelings that trap you and 5 ways to finally move forward. Midlife women don't usually struggle with motivation. We struggle with overthinking. We think about the workout, we think about the plan, we think about change, but thinking doesn't change your life. Action does.
What would happen if we stopped thinking about it and just took one imperfect step today? Because the biggest battle most of us are fighting isn't our plan. It's me versus me. Welcome to Life Beyond the Scale, the podcast, where we're going to start a new series on me versus me. Am I my own worst enemy? Kind of that self-sabotage. What am I doing that's getting in my own way? And so we'll be breaking that up over the next few weeks and kind of having some realization on what we can do to move forward, because the biggest battle most of us are fighting isn't the plan. It's me versus me. And wellness coach.
And I'm Erin, and I work in the health and wellness field with Jen.
Erin, these next few weeks, me versus me, this is going to be an interesting topic. Am I my own worst enemy? Am I the one that's blocking my forward success or my future success?
Sometimes, yes. I think that we have a tendency to want to blame other people in our lives. I know. I think there's times when I blame my husband. It's all his fault. I didn't do that because he got in. But if I'm really truthful, when I really look at my circumstances, it's really me who's standing in my way in ways of I didn't communicate something, or I didn't think things through. I didn't look at the big picture.
Right. Or our circumstances, I don't have the finances, the weather is getting in my way, my family. It's always easier to blame someone else. But after last week's episode where we were talking about being like, would you be friends with you? Would I be friends with me? That really kind of got our, the ball rolling, our minds kind of thinking. And we started to just kind of brainstorm different scenarios of where we are kind of fighting against ourselves. We are getting in our own way. And so we just thought it would be fun to break these up into some short episodes of me versus me, kicking off today with being an overthinker.
Yeah.
So have you ever spent way too much time thinking about something before you took action, Erin?
With just about everything I've ever done.
This is like our superpower.
It is our superpower, in the name of research, in the name of getting it right. Yes. I don't want to fail. I don't want to be embarrassed. All of that, those have been the things that have paralyzed me from moving forward when I realized I needed to just stop and just do something, anything. Yeah. Kind of like, when your house, that light bulb, and you think, I got to change that light bulb. Okay, well, it's usually 3 steps to get to that, changing that light bulb. It up so much you've overthunk it that you're like, I just don't have those 3 steps or 10 minutes or 5 seconds to change that light bulb. I'm simplifying it to something very, very simple. A lot of times it's the big things. It's the changing your lifestyle. It's changing the way you eat, the way you sleep, the way you feel. But we often get paralyzed in the small things first, and that's where we start to erode our self-confidence about moving forward.
Absolutely. That overthinking can feel productive, but usually if we really kind of, have that face-to-face with ourselves, it's really just our avoidance. We're trying to distract ourselves, right? Because we want to make sure it's just right. We, want to learn all of the things about it. We're doing all this research and it's feeling like, oh, I'm doing so much, right? Even when I went back to school to be certified as a health and wellness coach, as a life coach, I probably spent a good year researching schools instead of just going to school, right? Like just sign up. Right? Like, and I don't know if I was waiting for like, a promo code to drop out of the sky or someone to tell me no. I know that there was some fear involved and we can get to that a little deeper, but that idea of just, I felt so productive of like, I made this decision to go back to school. but it took me over a year to actually go to school. Right? We did that with the podcast.
Oh yeah. We did need to practice because we needed to figure out
Sure.
the, but we could still be doing that because we were like, okay, we don't know this and we don't know that. But we decided, okay, we're going to set a hard target. This is going to be the date that the first episode's going to go out. And then it was a matter of like, okay, well, that's looming. So we better get hot and get going. Well, the only way to get hot and get going is to actually take the first step and record it and just do it. You
And
know?
thanks to you saying, Jen, we are doing this on this day. I am posting a video. We had a deadline and we stuck to it. And, we're still learning, obviously, and we're still coming a long way, but we would have still been stuck in what we're going to call that analysis paralysis,
Mhm.
right? There's just that psychology that's happening that we're over analyzing so much that we're actually delaying or avoiding that action completely.
Well, if you guys are following the series about the 4 quadrant, you may be seeing that I was looking into activity videos and I watched a couple of them from my couch with a bag of pretzels. I could have been stuck and not done anything had it not been during the coaching session with Jen when she said, well, when are you going to do it? She made me come up with a time. And that's the thing. If it's just out there and it's open and it's free, that's wonderful, but it doesn't move you any closer to what you want. So really
Mhm.
having a friend who's going to say, all right, when?
Yeah.
When are you going to do that?
Well, and then the overthinking becomes this buffer between me and discomfort, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's me and the discomfort of pulling out a ladder to change a light bulb, me and cleaning the bathroom, me and paying that bill, me and recording a video, whatever that might be, then we start to not only over plan for that and overthink it in that way, but now I'm going to distract myself with maybe food, having a snack, taking a walk. Oh, maybe I should do that tomorrow. Well, after the bills are done, when life slows down, when the weather gets better. And so now it's becoming this avoidance and this buffer between me and discomfort. And I think that's when like the next version of overthinking gets in our way. It's it's something that's protecting us from the uncomfortable, right? It's the fear of being judged, the fear of being made fun of. We still talk about like, oh no, this went on our regular social media page and now our friends from high school know we have a podcast, right? Like that's terrifying.
Yes.
Before it was just us hearing our own voices and seeing our own faces. Now it's like lots of people are doing that. But
Yeah.
are we afraid of looking stupid, not having it done perfectly, and we continue to overthink the fear? Um, but I also maybe, I don't know, Erin, maybe is it just that, or do you ever get into the plan of like overthinking the fear into worst case scenario?
I can catastrophize myself into next week. So
Oh, I like that
I-
catastrophize. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I am the worst case scenario girl, and it's not helpful because in most cases it doesn't even come true. And so I think I'm being prepared, but I'm really just I'm ruining my day. I'm ruining so many things. I'm ruining the confidence and the momentum that I built up by making myself feel bad and thinking, well, I've got to be ready for the worst case scenario. I get that, anticipating things is good, but
Hmm.
worrying about it and thinking the worst case all the time it just kills your spirit, it kills your energy, and it doesn't get you where you want to be.
Right. It's inviting the trouble before it even gets here.
I think about when I can do this with food, where I get myself thinking that dinner has to be some fantastic recipe, this great wonderful meal.
Yeah.
And and just thinking that will stop me in my tracks of like, oh, I don't have the energy and I don't have the time and I don't have the ingredients and I'll do nothing. Whereas so many times if I had just been like, you know what, I'm just going to cook that chicken, I'm going to cook a bunch of it and I'll figure it out. I always
Right.
figure it out.
Right.
I put so much pressure on that it has to be a
Yeah.
certain level, a certain expectation. And for many women, we want it to be a certain way. And when it doesn't meet those expectations, that's where it erodes.
And that's the me versus me, right? Because
Oh,
there's
yeah.
not like Martha Stewart's not in my kitchen asking me if I, had a sprinkle of parsley on top of my, chicken picante to make it look great. No, like who gave me that pressure? I put that pressure on myself.
Like, which one of your family members even notices or cares? They're just
No.
food on the table.
Yeah, well, and having teenagers in the house right now, I often get the, oh, I already grabbed something. So, oh, okay. So I just did all of this work and stressed myself out and I overthought all the details. And maybe there's that frustration of not being appreciated, right? Like, which maybe is a whole nother episode coming up. But in the meantime, I've just been my own worst enemy because nobody was expecting a Martha Stewart Pinterest worthy dinner. They
Yeah.
just were hungry, right? Like it just needed to eat something. It doesn't have to be pretty. It can be on a paper plate. Is it me putting expectations on myself that I'm overthinking. And so I guess if we probably all can relate to the overthinking, whether it's in the workplace, in the home, with our travel, with dreams, with friendships, relationships, whatever that might be, the worries of the news right now, right? Like, and so now all of a sudden the world is, in chaos and we're overthinking that. And a lot of that is outside of our control. And so we have to realize this overthinking is stealing my opportunity. It's stealing my momentum. It's stealing our confidence, as you mentioned. It's stealing my joy and my sleep. And so now I'm stuck. And every time I do that, I'm just proving to myself, see, don't move forward, stay here. But the reality is we do hard things all the time. And we have to get out of our heads and just reinforce the opposite story. Right. Like,
Do you think that the unknown is scary?
mm,
Do you think that maybe when it comes to your coaching clients, have you noticed that maybe the unknown is just what stops people in that they're just like, well, I don't know how it's going to turn out. So if I just stay where I'm at, I'm in a safe place.
absolutely. I mean, if we've doubted that we can be successful or we've never been successful with our health goals, I can make all the plans that I want, but if I don't really believe or know how to envision what success looks like, I'm really happy staying stuck. And that's where a lot of clients will be too. The frustration that the plan isn't working anymore, or I'm too tired to keep thinking about food, or I don't want to exercise, or I don't want to move, or oh, I broke my toe. I mean, right? Like whatever that little excuse slash reason becomes, because the reality is I'm a little bit fearful of what will be expected out of me when I'm healthiest version of Jen.
Yeah. Well, then let's ask the audience, where do you feel like overthinking? What areas of your life do you feel like you spend the most time overthinking and not taking action? And then how do you bust out of that? What are some suggestions that you would give to somebody who's feeling
Yeah.
like, I'm stuck? How am I going to get out of this?
Yeah, I think we have to take action, right? We can't wait for that perfect moment. We can't wait until we've done all of the research. We don't really need to know how to start. We just need to start, right? Like
Yeah.
we don't have to be the best exerciser, the best cook in the kitchen, any of that, but figuring it out, while we're doing it. So what? Our high school friends listen to our podcast and make fun of us. I haven't seen 98% of them since high
Yeah.
school. So who cares if they're laughing behind my back? Right? Is that really doing anything? So why am I spending any energy? I was at a Weight Watcher meeting a couple weeks ago and a, a woman, Joni, I'm going to give Joni credit. She said something to the essence of, I'm letting them live rent free in my head. And I had never heard that term. And I was just like, fireworks went up like, yes, yes, yes. Why am I allowing some of that negative thoughts to take up space in my head, to steal my energy, my sleep, my confidence, when, like we said, we don't even know that situation, that probably at least half, it would be my guess, of what we're watching on the news could all just be AI or a bot anyway. And I'm staying paralyzed, and now I'm going to use that as an excuse to not move forward in my health because I don't know how to handle those situations. Let's think, what is paralyzing me in my overthinking or kind of taking me down an unhealthy place, whether it's with our mental health or our physical health? Um, and maybe just figure out, like, what would be that ridiculously small first step that doesn't have to be perfect, right? Our videos aren't going viral. We're still posting them, right? Like, it's okay. But what's that first step is just to exist, right? I'm just gonna turn on YouTube and play a workout video and see if I can get along. I'm gonna join that dance class, even if I don't know all the moves. What
I
is
think
it?
people recognize that most people really don't care about
Yeah.
you. I think we spend more time thinking about what people think about us, and they're not even thinking about us. They don't even care. You're not even really, they're thinking about themselves. They're really not thinking about you. You're not that significant, which is kind of a bummer, but it's actually the truth. I think about like exercise classes. I can
Yeah.
remember in yoga class not being able to do quite the same moves and looking in the mirror and realizing as I was watching myself struggle to get into this one position, as I was looking at myself, I was looking at the other people in the mirror. They were not looking at me. They didn't care that I couldn't get into that particular position. They were looking at themselves. They were trying to figure out,
Right.
could they do it? But we're
Right.
so wrapped up in our own like mental place of like, they're all
Yeah.
looking at me and they're all judging me. They don't care. They don't care.
So what's that one imperfect action that you can take today to be like, I've learned as much as I can learn about this right now. I'm signing up. I'm diving in. I'm jumping in the deep end, without a net. I'm just going to post the video. I'm taking the exercise class. I'm getting on the scale. I'm going to open up a recipe and just try to make it. What would be your first action step as we're moving forward? Not when we're comfortable, not when the weather's perfect, but because
Yeah.
the battle isn't you against the plan, but it's you versus the version that you keep waiting for. And
Mm.
so we want to take that first step.
Waiting for the
Yes.
perfect time, waiting for a sign. Anybody out there ever think like, I'm looking for the sign? Is this
Oh,
the
yeah.
sign? Is
Yeah.
this my sign to start? The sign is just go and do it.
Besides taking that one step forward today, my next suggestion would be like to ask yourself if your brain is even telling you the truth. Like, it's not what if I fail, but what if I succeed? Right. Like, what if
Mm.
I'm spending all of this time overthinking on the worst thing possible? Instead, what would happen if I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to be famous? Right? Like, what if best case scenario? I'm going to be able to walk 5 miles and not be out of breath. I'm going to be
Mhm.
able to go to the grocery store and make meals. What if
Yeah.
instead of, ooh, what if?
Mm. Believe that you can, and you're halfway there. But that's hard to do. If you don't feel confident, it is hard to do. It's hard to pull that energy up and say, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway. But you
So that's
can.
our challenge this week. What will
Yeah.
you do anyway? The good, the
Ooh,
bad, the ugly. What can you just commit to saying, I'm just do it? Right? It's Nike. Just do it.
do it.
Yeah.
So drop
Right.
in the comments. We want to know, what are you just going to do? Just going to do it even though you don't feel ready, even though you're not sure if you can do it. What are you going to do? We want to hear all about
This month, we're going to be talking about some things that most people don't realize is happening, the quiet ways that we're becoming our own worst enemy, not because we're lazy, not because we're incapable, but because our own thoughts sometimes talk us out of what we actually want. And learning to recognize that is where everything begins to change. And remember, you are more than a number on the scale, and the life you want built is one small decision at a time. This is Life Beyond the Scale, the podcast, and to live your healthiest, strongest life.
Don't forget, thumbs up.
I want to talk about something that most of us don't even realize it's happening. The quiet ways that we're becoming our own worst enemy. Today I want to talk to you about overthinking. Overthinking is one of the most socially acceptable forms of self-sabotage. And midlife women, this has become our superpower. We say we're thinking about it, but months later, we still haven't started. We're spending all of our time in the research and the preparation. Which vibration plate is the best? Should I be counting my macros? How much protein do I really need? Is fiber really all that important? You're not stuck because you don't know what to do. You're stuck because you keep thinking about what you're going to do. We spend too much time in the analyzing and the preparation instead of the actual doing. That's fear trying to distract us, because action is what feels scary, but thinking doesn't change our life. Action does. And as soon as we recognize that, everything can change. And the more time we spend in our heads, the harder it is to take that first step. So ask yourself this: what if today you took just one imperfect step forward, gaining confidence and collecting evidence to show you who you can be? Because the biggest battle we're facing in midlife isn't our hormones and our changing bodies, but it's me versus me.